along with Ms. Fernando Rubio, will be moderating this forum. Tonight, we will hear candidates from both the Tempe Union High School and Kyrene school districts give brief statements and answer questions regarding the November election.
This forum was arranged by Mr. Waddell's 4th period AP Government class. This group of scholars has worked since the beginning of the school year, hoping to achieve a successful community forum in which the audience will leave satisfied and informed enough to make an educated vote this November.
Before we get started, we would like to thank the following sponsors as well as those who were critical to the execution of this event. The MPHS Fine Arts Department, the IT Department, Jill Perry, Jorge Romero, Mr. Corey Quinn, Principal Bruce Kipper, Mr. Dominguez, along with the rest of the administration, Dunkin' Donuts, and Chipotle.
The first forum will consist of the candidates from the Kyrene School District presenting opening statements, which will be followed by questions. To conclude, they will present closing statements, followed by a brief intermission to prepare for the second debate of the same format with the Tempe Union High School District.
Without further ado, we would like to begin the forum with the Kyrene School District candidates from the Board of Education. The candidates on the panel are Michelle Fahy, John King, Michael Myrick, and Eshe Pickett. Thank you for coming. We would also like to thank Superintendent Dr. Baca and Assistant Superintendent Mr. Muehlman for attending as well. We will now begin with the questions. The first question is for John King. John, you have advocated for locally controlled educational experience in the past. Can you please expand on what a locally, pardon me. We're going to start with the 90-second opening statements, beginning with Ms. Michelle Fahy.
Sorry. Thank you so much. I can't tell if this is on, so a little bit. Okay. So I'd like to thank the Mountain Pointe AP Government class for putting this event on tonight, and thank all these community members for coming to hear why I'm interested in being a Kyrene School Board member. I've been a member of the Kyrene community for 20 years. I started teaching at Apprentice Middle School as a special education teacher in 1996. And soon after that, my husband and I moved into Kyrene because we really wanted to raise our family here. My daughter went through Kyrene schools, and my nieces also went through Kyrene schools. And I want to make sure that our students today and those in the future have the same opportunity to have the wonderful education that my family did. I understand that being a board member is a big job, and it takes dedication and focus. The key role of this position is to ensure that the district allocates their resources appropriately and makes decisions that are fiscally responsible. I will work cooperatively with the other board members and district leadership to ensure that the district maximizes its resources to provide our schools with highly trained and effective teachers and the curriculum and tools that they all need to have students be successful. I will strive to provide community leadership and advocate for all children. Having the high quality schools in our community is really important because it brings business, and business brings jobs, and that's going to make our community better for our future.
Thank you, Ms. Fahy. John King, would you please present your opening statement?
First off, I can't hear you too well. It's kind of muffled to me. Okay, so I may ask you to repeat some of your questions. Okay. First off, thank you, Mountain Pointe High School, Tempe Union High School District, and to the AP students for doing this. I think this is terrific, and I'm glad to see you all involved in this way, and I really appreciate you having us here tonight. Why am I here? Well, I've been on the board for 4 years, and a lot of people ask me, so why are you doing it again? And the reason is because I really believe in what I'm doing there. I was an educator for 13 years at the university level. I take a lot of pride in the work that I do, and I work very hard for the Kyrene School District to do the right things for our students first, our teachers second, and community as well. And I want to make sure with everything that I do and everything that I attempt to do is with those things in mind, typically in that order. So I'm here to be another 4 years. We have a new superintendent I'm really excited to have on board. And this is someone I want to work with. I want to help get through some of the challenges that we have. We're a great school district, don't get me wrong, but even the great ones have challenges. A long time ago, I learned in business that if you're first at what you do and you sit on your laurels, you won't be first anymore. So the idea is to continue moving in that direction. I bring a lot of business experience. I was an executive for a number of years, and I was a business owner for a number of years, and I was an educator at the university for 13 years. I was outstanding faculty in 2001, and I'm extremely involved in this community and have been living here since 1986. So, and we have 3 boys who went through these school systems. I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Michael Myrick, would you please present your opening statement?
Yes. Once again, I'd like to thank Mountain Pointe as well for putting on this event. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Michael Myrick. And one of the few people here that are running that is actually a parent. I have 3 children currently in the district and have for over 9 years. And we'll have them in the district for another 6 years. My background is I grew up in the Southeast Valley. I'm a graduate of Kyrene High School. I've lived in the Southeast Valley for over 37 years. I come from a family of educators. I have a mother-in-law who retired from the Tempe Elementary District after 30 years of teaching, and a father who taught at the University of West Virginia, in addition to a grandfather that taught at the college level as well. I'm running because I'm a parent, and I know there's a lot of parents in the audience tonight. And certainly my business background and my current board experience brings a unique perspective that I think can help both the district and the new board. We've got 3 seats on the board and a new superintendent. We want to support the new superintendent as well as the board.
Thank you, Mr. Myrick. Eshe, Pickett, would you please present your opening statement?
Yes, thank you. I would also like to reflect the sentiments of the other candidates here tonight and thanking you for putting on this forum so that the community can hear our thoughts on why we are interested in running for the Kyrene School Board. My name is Eshe Pickett, and I've been a member of the Chandler community for 11 years since I moved here in 2005 to work as a software developer. I believe that educating our children is our greatest social responsibility, and that is why I'm running for the Kyrene School Board. For over 15 years, my focus has been on serving the youth of our community as a Big Brothers Big Sisters, where I was matched for 5 years. I also served as a licensed respite care provider for Arizona's children and sat on their board for the Foster Parents Advisory Board, where I helped establish community relationships and support foster families. I was a primary care provider for my niece for some time, and she was enrolled at Kyrene. So though I may not have children at present in the district, my focus has always been on serving youth. My background in software development will be a very important and unique presence on the board as we have the knowledge economy, which will dictate the jobs of the future. And I believe that it will be important in selecting curriculum and identifying what our students need to learn to be successful. I am looking forward to sharing my thoughts, and I thank you so much for the opportunity this evening.
Thank you to the candidates for opening those opening statements. I will now begin with the questions. The first one is for John King. John King, you have advocated for a locally controlled educational experience in the past. Can you please expand on what a locally controlled education system is and how it is going to be established?
There's a couple of words I didn't understand. Locally controlled?
Yes, sir.
Okay, locally controlled educational experience?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so here's my thought. Locally controlled basically means that we put the responsibility on the district to make sure that the district is providing the best possible educational experience it can provide for its students. Does it need a higher level of guidance? Sure, absolutely. But at some point in time, it's got to be the superintendent's responsibility and the superintendent's accountability that they are able to meet state and federally mandated standards. And we have the AZ Myrick that we're working from, and I think that's great. If we try to go to a national program kind of like what we were doing before, but Arizona's moved more to the AC Myrick. I think that we lose sight of the changes in the type of people that live in a community and live in a part of the country, and the demographics that apply in those areas. So locally controlled basically means that we're not going to put it down to the community, but we want to make sure that we have some say in how we educate our students. And I think that's really important. I don't think that someone in New Jersey is capable of, who's never been to Phoenix or Arizona at all, is capable of coming here and saying, well, we do it this way, you should do it that way. We don't know. There's too many differences along the way.
Thank you. The next question is for Michelle Fahy. Why do your skills in special education distinguish you from the other candidates? How do you plan to use your special ed experience to improve the quality of education in your district?
Well, I think that's a great question. And I'm not a special educator anymore. I'm actually the instructional technology coordinator for the Tempe Union High School District. But quite honestly, I think that once you're a special educator, you're always a special educator. And what I learned in special education is that what's good for some students is really good for all. And so what I want to make sure that we do is offer opportunities that really address individual needs of students, but are also really best practices for every student in Kyrene.
Thank you. The next question is from Michael Myrick. Michael, how do you plan on using your background in business as a member of the school board?
Well, one of the biggest feedbacks I get from the business community, and for those that don't know, I'm in commercial real estate, and for a number of years did corporate site selection for companies that come to Phoenix. And one of the biggest challenges Phoenix has over other cities is we rank in the 48, 49, depending on what poll you look at in education. It's the biggest, probably one of the biggest factors companies make a decision on. We're fortunate to be in Kyrene, which is one of the top districts in the state, but at the same time, there's a lot of challenges. We're 10th in teacher pay. We have teacher retention where we're losing teachers to other districts. We have a special education budget that probably needs to be evaluated and reallocated in some circumstances. And so my mission with my current board background as president of Tempe Sports Authority Foundation, which will involve getting into a lot of educational groups, is to take my board experience and apply it to this board, and in particular, three core areas of focus, which is really teacher retention, teacher pay, and special education.
Thank you. Eshe Pickett, how has the Valley Leadership Institute prepared you to be a leading member of the school board? What are some of the things you learned that you can apply if elected?
Thank you. For those of you who are not familiar with Valley Leadership, it's one of the oldest leadership associations for training within the East Valley. I was a class member of Class 34, and while I attended that program, I was responsible for, with a group of my peers, identifying a program that would reach out to the community and improve through partnerships the opportunity for people to participate in arts and culture. Part of the Valley Leadership Outreach process was learning from various members of the community, from legislators to educators, and we had days that focused on several different core areas. So having established those partnerships would also enable me to reach out to the various groups within the Kyrene constituency to include them in decision-making process, and also to encourage the participation of all community members to bring to bear in Kyrene the best that everyone has to offer.
Thank you. John King, you have been quoted saying that you are working to create a fiscally responsible system of education. Can you give an example of something that you have done in your last term or something you are planning to do that would embody fiscal responsibility?
I have to apologize. I didn't understand.
Would you like me to repeat the question? Okay. You have been quoted saying that you are working to create a fiscally responsible system of education. Can you give an example of something you have done in your last term or something you are planning to do that would embody fiscal responsibility?
Fiscal responsibility.
Yes, sir.
I keep hearing before I came on the board is that what I heard mostly is, well, the schools waste a lot of money. And I got to be honest with you, we don't waste a lot of money. As a matter of Kyrene has one of the best records in managing funds. We're one of the leanest operating districts in the state, and we're number 10, like Mr. Myrick said. So we've got to be doing something really well. What we've done is we've taken the time to look at how we disperse the funds within the organization. We want to make sure, look, the most important thing here is we've got to take care of our teachers. We got to make sure that we get money into the classroom where it belongs instead of other places. So we've worked very hard these last 4 years to make sure that the money gets into the classroom and to the teachers. We started this state started this year out with 2,000, a little over 2,000 teacher positions unfilled. We have attrition rates that are atrocious. And why? Because teachers can get more money doing something else in their life other than teaching. And I got to be honest, I don't know a teacher that I've met at Kyrene that doesn't have a passion for what they're doing. So this is really what I'm interested in doing. I want to make sure that we take care of our teachers and that we funnel the funds the right way.
Thank you. Mrs. Fahy, you also mentioned fiscal responsibility earlier in the debate. Would you like to include something to what Mr. King said?
Well, I agree with a lot of what Mr. King said. I think that teachers, we do need to take care of our teachers. And it makes me sad to see that Kyrene has lost, just this past spring, 180 teachers, many of whom went to districts just nearby, just because they could make a little bit more money. And I know that Tempe Union was actually the benefactor of several amazing teachers. And I hate to see teachers who care so much and work so hard have to do things like work waiting tables or having some other second job or tutoring just to make ends meet. So we do need to make sure that we can put them in our classrooms and have them put their attention where they really need it, which is for our students.
Thank you. Ms. Pickett, what was it that made you want to jump from your career in technology into education?
Can you repeat that, please?
What was it that made you transition from your career in technology into education?
Well, I am actually still employed as a software developer. While I was attending school and graduate school, I did substitute teaching with Chicago Public Schools, and my mother is an educator. So for me, it has always been important that a strong public education system exists because it is the funnel through which you go from your middle to high school and then on to public education through your college system. So it's a very important pipeline to establish. For me, as a technologist working for Intel, one of the things that we look for is a strong pipeline so that we can recruit and bring well-educated students to work for the company. So for me, my interest in education is primarily to help ensure that the next generation is prepared for the jobs like software development at companies like Intel.
Michael Myrick, your campaign website claims that you are a member of many nonprofit committees. Can you please elaborate on what nonprofit committees this is referring to and how they distinguish you as a candidate?
Sure. Currently I sit and president of the board of the Tempe Sports Authority Foundation, which was a city-owned charity that the city of Tempe started about 27 years ago to help recruit the Arizona Cardinals to get here. Once they were finished with that, it was basically a facility to help build the Cardinals training facility. The city had this basically 501c3 charity, so we used that to put on the Courage Awards, which we do every spring along with Angels Baseball. And we raise money for various charities. Some of the benefactors are Dollars for Scholars, ASU School of Nursing, Boys and Girls Club, many other charities that sort of changes every year. In addition to that, I had sat at the request of the Mayor Mark Mitchell in Tempe on the General Plan 2030 and advised on the city on updating the general plan for the city. But to answer your question, sitting on a board is, I always tell people, this is a nonpartisan, nonprofit, non-paid position. And it's really easy to write a check. It's really hard to give your time and serious time and dedication. This is, this board position is basically a part-time job if you're doing it right. And I've got skin in the game. I have 3 kids in the district. I have one that's special needs, and and I'm in it for the long haul. I've lived here, basically my whole life, and I'm a fan of the Kyrene district. We do a lot of great things, but certainly there's some areas that we can improve on.
Okay. The last question is for Michelle Fahy. You have a vast amount of experience in the field of technology. Please describe why instituting technology into education is important and how your experience is going to help you accomplish that for the school district.
I think you can go outside and look at what kids are doing. They're using technology. They're using technology to communicate. They're using technology to study. They're using technology to do research. And I'm really proud to say that I worked in Kyrene in the technology department for 13 years as an educational technology specialist. And my job was to go into classrooms and work with teachers side by side and show them lots of ways to integrate technology into the classroom. Our students will never have a job where some technology isn't required. It is always going to be necessary. Our students are plugged in all the time, and we need to give them the opportunities to demonstrate their learning in lots of different ways, and technology is a really great tool to allow them to do that.
Thank you. We will now continue on to general questions, which will be open for all of the candidates to answer at one time. Michelle Fahy, you will have the opportunity to go first on the first question. Do you have any specific changes you would like to implement in the school district's policies, programs, or other activities? If you do, what changes would you like to make and why?
I think the core that we need to really look at in Kyrene is student achievement. I think that Kyrene teachers work really hard, and administrators, and everybody's working to do their best. And as John King said, our scores in the state are well above average, so overall we're doing quite well. But right now we have these pockets of students. We have subgroups and different grades that really need more support, more attention, more individualized learning opportunities to really get them up to where we really want them to be. Because you can be the best, like John said, but we want all our kids to be the best. And so I really want to focus on putting our resources into places to really target students who need that extra support.
Do any of the other candidates have anything that they would like to say about specific changes they would like to implement into district policy, programs, or other activities? John King?
Sure. Where do I start? There's so many things that we can look at. One of the challenges we have at Kyrene is our curriculum. We're using materials that are outdated, grossly outdated, and we're trying to use outdated materials to have them match to the new standards that we're required to meet. It's difficult. Our teachers are having a tough time. And so we've really got to wrap our arms around this concept of curriculum and make sure that what we're offering is the best that we can offer. We have an opportunity. We just need to take advantage of it to make sure, again, I harp on this, that our kids get the best possible educational experience they can get. Curriculum is key and right central to having that happen. So one thing that I want to focus on is curriculum and make sure, and we're doing the right things there with our new superintendent, but certainly this is an area of concern that we need to address.
Mr. Myrick, would you like to give any input on specific changes you would like to implement in the school's policies and programs?
Yeah, probably one that comes to mind is there seems to be an over-reliance on technology. And, when I went to junior high years and years ago, we used to have vocational education in the schools. You could take a shop class and kind of get introduced to that. Right now, we've got a labor shortage in Arizona. We don't have enough skilled workers. And if you're interested in some sort of vocational work, you basically have to work until, or wait until you're in 11th grade and you can go to EVIT. So I would be a proponent of bringing back shop classes into the junior highs and introducing vocational work to students that choose and may have that mechanical mind or knack to go into it. Certainly that's missing. Secondly, special education really needs to be evaluated and see what works and what doesn't work. As a parent of a child with some learning challenges, I think I've tried a lot of things that didn't work and a few things that did work. And I think the teachers in the classroom, the parents, probably have sometimes a better understanding of what works versus a sort of one-size-fits-all mentality. And probably third thing, and most importantly, is teacher pay and retention. There's no reason why we should be losing great teachers to other districts. We really need to formulate a plan with incentive and performance pay for some of these teachers so we can keep them.
Ms. Pickett, do you have anything to add on to that?
Absolutely. So one of the things that has happened with the reduction of funds available through cuts is that teachers have less support in the classroom. Teachers' assistants are not as readily available, and I would love to see partnerships formed with local community programming, such as the second career scholars who would be able to come in and provide a gap to fill that. For instance, partnering with the local colleges at the community center level and as well as the university level to bring in teachers' assistantships through internships and such. In addition to that, I'd also like to see a review of the years and experience as they translate into pay when a new teacher or an experienced teacher comes into Kyrene, so that we can actually provide a better compensation for experienced teachers so that when they come to Kyrene, they don't lose the years that they've taught in other districts.
We will now move on to the next general question, which is, Arizona is the 48th lowest state in the nation for school funding from the government. This makes for a negative image for Arizona. How do you plan to improve our state's image? Or what steps will be taken to improve our state's image? John King, would you like to answer?
Yeah, sure. We are 48th in funding. Interestingly enough, we're somewhere in the middle of the pack in the quality of education we deliver. So a shout out to all the teachers and administrators out there for doing such a good job with so little. It's really refreshing to see that. What can we do? Well, where does our money come from? It comes from the federal government. It comes from the legislature. And I don't know if all of you have seen recently, but you get to see your tax assessment on your property. And there's a line on there that says Kyrene School District, and it tells you what you paid last year and what you're going to pay this coming year. So that number has gone up, and it's adjusted by the county. So the school district really doesn't have a lot of direct control over how funding is provided to the district. But we can certainly do everything we can to make sure we use those funds to the best of our ability. It's my position on the board to want to make sure, like I said before, that we put the money in the classroom first, and that we take care of our teachers because they take care of our students, and that is our future.
Mr. Myrick, do you have anything you'd like to include about improving our state's image?
Well, I agree with a lot of what John said. I think it comes down to being an advocate as a board member to the state legislature, and as the state legislature appropriates funds, that we advocate that it gets to the classroom first and foremost, and to the teachers, and work with the teachers. They know where the money needs to go. And so I would just suggest that from a branding standpoint, certainly being at the bottom is not acceptable, and it's costing us. We're not able to get a lot more businesses and companies to come to Arizona because of education.
Ms. Pickett?
The Arizona School Board Association, Kyrene is a member of, and part of the reason that organization exists is to do advocacy. And as a board member, you, I believe, have the responsibility to be a strong advocate for the school district, its teachers, and its students. So I would certainly be part of speaking with legislators, reaching out to the community to let them know when there are things that may affect the education funding that will be then delivered to the district, and also looking at establishing creative partnerships with organizations such as the school funding projects, where you can register your classroom and say these are the materials that we need, and reach out to funding groups to say, will you fund materials in the classroom? So how can we get creative and innovative about leveraging our community resources?
Ms. Fahy, is there anything you'd like to include about increasing our state's image?
Yes, I remember when I was in the classroom and I would get emails from KEA saying, will you please write a letter to your legislature? And I'll be honest with you, I remember feeling tired after a long day, and being that kind of advocate for my own job was hard. And so what I want to do as a school board member is help to be an advocate for our so hard in our classrooms. We need to reach out to the legislature and let them know that education is important. Things like all-day kindergarten, which we know is important. I think everybody up here agrees that it's important, but the state legislature doesn't fund it. So we need to get out there and be the voice for our teachers, for our district, and for our community to make sure that students really get what they need.
Thank you, candidates. That does conclude the questions. I would now ask the candidates to please give their closing statements that they have prepared, starting with Ms. Fahy.
Well, thank you again, and thank you all to all these community members who have come out and joined us tonight. I want to be a Kyrene board member because I care deeply about education. As a teacher, I know the hard work it takes every day to provide quality educational experiences for all students. I'm knowledgeable about Kyrene, having worked in Kyrene for 19 years. I've been a parent and a community member for 20 years, and I'm thoughtful, reflective, and I have the ability to look at issues with multiple perspectives, having worked in a classroom, in the district office, and also being in the community. I will continually strive to ask the tough questions, insist on effectiveness, and demand thorough and transparent answers so that you know where your money is going. I understand our district, our community, and our children and their needs. And I will work hard for every student, parent, teacher, and resident. And I appreciate and look forward to the work involved in being your elected representative. Thank you.
Thank you. And would you like to present your opening or your closing statement right now, Mr. John King?
Closing statement.
Yes, sir. 60 seconds.
Sure. There's a lot to think about here. First off, 4 years ago when I first ran for the school board, I had an idea of what I was going to do and what I was getting into, but I got to be honest with you, I really had no idea. I've worked 20 to 40 hours a week, and sometimes because of the things we're doing, and I did it relentlessly, without question, and with full commitment. And the reason, and I asked myself, why do I do that? Well, because I look at the faces of the kids. Every time I go to 8th grade graduation every year, I see how excited those kids are. I see Kyrene's finished product, and it looks great. I'm really proud. I have a lot of pride in this district, and I like to see what we're doing here. So we do have challenges, though. One of our challenges is declining enrollment, and we're working very hard to figure out how to deal with competition, aging population, and all those things. We have a great superintendent, like I said, who has some wonderful ideas, and we're working along toward doing that. So there's a lot still to do. I like being on board. I think I've been an effective, engaged, and very involved board member thus far, and I'm looking forward to another 4 years because there's still so much to do. Thank you so much.
Mr. Myrick, would you please give your closing statement?
Sure. I think it's fair to say education is the great equalizer in our country. And if you travel outside the United States, almost or nearly almost every country, being an educator is held in the highest regards. And I think one of the things that I bring, which is a unique perspective, one that is of a current parent with 3 children in the district, in addition to my business background and my current work experience. The stakeholders of Kyrene, call it what you will, taxpayers that vote on bonds and everything else. We're fortunate that we have bonds and they got passed. Those people expect value out of that. And I'm here to make sure that that happens in addition to support teachers, the staff, and most importantly, our students. With me, the children will come first.
Ms. Pickett, would you please present your closing statement?
I would like to start by saying I love our community and its children. For the time that I've been here, I've always reached out and found opportunities to serve our youth. With 9 years running, I've held a field trip where I brought over 1,000 girls now onto our company site to see what it is to be an engineer, hands-on, where they get an opportunity to work with technology, engage with mentors, and see what it would be like to be an engineer for a day. In addition to those things, I've served as a board member for Arizona Humanities, the General Plan Update Committee with the City of
That concludes this forum. Thank you very much to all the candidates from Kyrene School District for participating. We will now have a brief intermission, which will be followed by the Tempe Union High School District. Refreshments will be provided in the lobby.